I wanted
Let the record show that Michael Gorman has admiration for me.
I wanted to ask you about something you announced with the premiers last week. We haven't seen you since, the MOU regarding electricity. Tell me about the thought process around this. And is this a kind of Atlantic Loop redux?
Well, it's kind of bigger than that. So Atlantic Loop would have been about the how you move it, but this MOU is about the why you move it, if I'd say it that way. So we're all running our own independent grids. That means we need to have redundant capacity just in case something happens, or we can make sure we power homes and businesses. So this would work together. It will save money because we don't all need to have that redundant capacity. We could operate our systems where we just kind of help each other in those times. So, but we have the organization we have in place here, the independent energy system operator. It's a great model, great team there, great team of people there, some of the best in the country. So it's just about working together to try to stabilize rates and understand that we're going to all be generating more energy. It's needed for sure, and we should make sure that we're as efficient and effective as possible on sharing that. So it's a really good thing for Nova Scotians, but for Atlantic Canadians.
An MOU is obviously a start. How long do you think it might take to move from an MOU to potentially some type of synergy amongst provinces?
Yeah, so there'll be a study, but working closely with the federal government on that, who's helping fund that study. Identified a couple potential people to lead that study. Have already been identified, so I think the next step after the MOU is to reach out and secure one of those experts to move that. But this is obviously, we've faced a couple of times, not just in Nova Scotia, but across Canada and certainly through the Maritimes. Just last year, we had the potential brownouts in Nova Scotia. The needs are pretty significant. So we feel the urgency, and the federal government feels the urgency, and my colleagues at the Premier's table do as well. So I suspect that we'll get that study going so we can show it to Nova Scotians that this is a good thing. It's going to save money. We have to prove that out to Nova Scotians. We accept that, and we want to do that very quickly.
How do you feel people protesting, their reaction when you arrived at the Best Western this morning?
I accept, people have opinions in the province. I value that. I value those interactions. I've always said that it would be rare that I didn't stop and hear that and engage. I enjoy that, and it's necessary for our democracy. Sometimes you can tell when a crowd doesn't want to engage, and when their opening comments are screaming expletives or pounding on your car, then they're probably not people who want to engage. This crowd was for the most part. We had a few of the regulars in there that travel around with me, but I would say for the most part that was a crowd who just wanted me to know their perspective and welcomed a discussion, and I welcome that. So I was I guess happy with the respectful nature in which some of those discussions were approached.
You talked about in your speech at the Best Western about optimism and about not saying no in Nova Scotia anymore and saying yes to projects. Now, when you talk about some of the protesters, when I talk with them, they want to say yes to energy projects too, but it's different. Wind, although you're a proponent of wind, they want more solar power. How do you work together on that optimism together?
Science. We believe that as a government, we have a responsibility to understand the science. We have a responsibility to listen to differing perspectives, and people have opinions on what makes Nova Scotia, and we're all proud of that. We all want that. But responsible government also knows that there are times to move, and when there are opportunities and the science says you can move, you should move. And I accept the fact that not everyone will agree on that. My dad used to say you won't be able to please everyone, and I used to say one or two would be good, Dad. But I think the reality is we have incredible opportunities, and this is a country that was built by people who didn't agree on everything, but they found enough common ground of things to agree on. Whether that was build a community center or do this project or that project, they found common ground. And they built things and they moved forward. And this is a time for Nova Scotians to look at the science and have respectful discussions, but ultimately find common ground to move forward. And there will be people that are happy with the status quo, and that's fine. There will be others with other opinions, but we just need to make sure that we're doing what's right for Nova Scotians based on science. That's what we'll do.
What about the science of climate change and needing to change where we get our energy sources?
The climate is changing for sure, and we all can see that, and that has lots of impacts. And it's actually one of the reasons that our grape quality, our wine production is improving. But there are lots of impacts of the changing climate. There's no question about that. We want to move to more renewables. I am a big fan of wind and solar and nuclear as well, all these things. But the reality is that the wind blows a lot in Nova Scotia. We're beneficiaries. That doesn't blow all the time. So you need other sources for peak demand and for when the wind's not blowing. Natural gas is a great opportunity for that. So I think these are discussions, respectful discussions that have to be made, have to be had. But as a government, we need to make decisions to move forward based on that, and that's what we'll do when the time comes.
Premier, in light of the budget constraints that the province is under and the measures that your government has taken so far, do you see any need to revisit travel policies as it relates to Executive Council, or are you confident with the checks and measures that are in place now that screen travel?
We're following the process that's been in place for certainly before my time. I don't book my own travel for one thing. So there's lots of factors that go into travel. That's like availability of the people you're trying to talk to. I had a chance to go over and meet with the owner directly of one of the largest shipping companies in the world, and we did that. It was short notice. So sometimes you have availability of proponents. You have to look at, in some cases, proximity to the venue that you're going to. There's security issues. There have certainly been times in my tenure as Premier where we've went to foreign countries and the local organizers said, "You're staying where?" and raise security issues on the spot, right? So as a province, we can all do a little better than that. So we're certainly extremely respectful of the job that we're doing when we're there to promote Nova Scotia, to make sure that people are thinking of Nova Scotia in a positive way, but also the cost. And sometimes those are things we're always trying to balance.
What is the cost of this summer tour?
How
much is it being spent?
I'm not sure on the chamber. I'll be back home in Pictou County tonight, but I mean, so we're trying to get out to talk to Nova Scotians. But I would more so. This is certainly a situation where the cost will be dwarfed by the benefit.
Why is it important for you to come here?
Well, the benefit of being out and talking to Nova Scotians, of course, we talk in the room. People raise issues, concerns, opportunities, and encouragement sometimes too. But those face-to-face interactions are completely invaluable for me as Premier and for our government, just to hear from people. So we're focused on this tour. We'll also do budget consultation tour. We're committed to that. That'll be a budget consultation tour, and we'll just have lots of opportunities for Nova Scotians to interact and raise their perspective. And I think that's really important. It's really big benefit.
And taking it back to the healthcare side of things within this context of conversation, to anyone who might be concerned about the future of healthcare, because we are seeing more of a push on natural resources or focus on the economy, what do you say about where healthcare still stands when it comes to?
Well, they go hand in hand, right? So we like the demands on the government coffers are pretty significant, of course, right? And I didn't want to become Premier to do less for people. We want to do more for people. Right? We always wish we could, and when we could, we have. And so I think our track record shows that. But when we go through a different time, we have to acknowledge reality too. So if we want to do more, which we do, then we need to grow the revenues of the province so there is more. So it's a bigger pie. When you have a bigger pie, there's more pieces for everyone. So we're focused on the bigger pie. There's only two ways you can get bigger pie. One, raise taxes. We're not going to raise taxes on Nova Scotians. They're heavily taxed already. And two, grow the economy. So we're very focused on growing the economy. And fortunately, we have tons of opportunities. Lots of things that can be done safely and sustainably. And that's where our focus is.
I'm good.